because now it's actually recording. Now it's live. So, here's our deal. Yes, we are. Gentlemen, again, the doing things one thing, talking while I am, not so much. Okay, thank you. So, here's what we're going to do. Sales tax and discounts. We're trying to figure out if something is an increase or a decrease. Well, that's pretty much common sense. If the new price is more expensive, it's an increase. If the new price is less expensive, well, it's like a sale or a decrease. And find the percentage change. That's no different from what we were doing on Friday. So, for instance, when we're looking for the percent of change, just a reminder, we're going to take the difference of the prices. Again, we're going to subtract them. We're going to do the big one minus the small one. Okay? That's going to be part of this fraction that we do. Oops. Nobody's even telling me that I'm way off the screen. Okay. The difference of the prices divided by the original price. And then we've got to turn it into a percentage. So I think I'll actually start with number 2 since I can keep this on the screen that way. Here's how this goes. We're going to take the difference of the prices, big minus small, so 100 minus 90. Sometimes the new price will be bigger, sometimes the original will be. And I'm going to divide by the original price. Now, if I go about doing that on the calculator, so 100 minus 90 would be 10. So if I do 10 divided by 90, I'm going to get a decimal. Right. So I get this point, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Instead of writing all of those, okay, to turn it in, what's that? That's right. I can, now that's one thing I'm going to avoid, because, and I'm glad you mentioned that. If I went to round right now, I might put it as like 0.11. Well, here's where, in this case, it'll end up working okay for us. If I do my times by 100 to get it into a percentage first, okay, before I do my rounding, because you'll notice up here at the top it says round to the nearest tenth of a percent, which is 1 decimal place. So if I do that, it'd just be 11.1%. Nope, if it's just telling us to go to the nearest tenth, we're going to go to that first spot after the decimal point and be done. Okay? And since the price went up from the original to the new, would that be an increase or decrease in price? An increase. So the price of this particular thing went up 11.1%. Increase. I-N-C-R-E-A-S-E. And that's all we're going to do on any of these. So like here, it looks like a sale's going on. Originally it was 45, now it's 20. Same idea. The concept itself doesn't change. Big minus small up top. You're always dividing by the original price. That never changes either. So I worked this out. I'm like, all right, so less 25, because that's 45 minus 20, divided by 45. And again, if I get some funky decimal, don't round quite yet. We'll times by 100. Whoa, not by 111. Oh, no, hard. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Now, when I go to round this time, I would. This is going to be 55.6. Like, why is that? Because when you're rounding, okay, that number after your first one. So like here, if I'm trying to round and I see 55.55, okay, the next couple of numbers, this number after, right here, determines whether I stay where I am or I go up. Since it's 5 or above, I go up. That'd be a very minor thing on a quiz. If you did 55.5, I mean, it'd be tiny. If it's a 1-point question, it might take like 1/4 of 1 point, okay, for the rounding on that. But this time my price went down. So is it an increase or a decrease? the price goes down, it's a decrease. You can even think that they both start with D. Okay? If the new price is less, it's a decrease. If the new price is greater, it's an increase. Okay? So that's kind of a review of what we were doing back on Friday. So now we're going to take it one step further. Like, oh my gosh. So solving problems. I'm running out of writing. All right, it's odd, but it'll work. Wait. This works. Okay. So I'm going to shrink that down so we can get a little better look at what we're doing here in the next part. Okay, so now we're going to actually start doing some applications. Discounted prices and tax included in here. So here's how sales tax is going to work. We're always going to add it to the item. So find the total price of each item. Here's my options. I need to multiply the shirt times sales tax. So to get from this percentage to the decimal form that I need, I'm going to divide by 100. So if you do 4 divided by 100, okay, you get 0.04. This is the number that I'm going to use to figure out how much my tax is. We would. So my first step is always to take the sales tax and divide it by 100 to get my decimal, or you can move it 2 places to the left. What's that? Here, my first step. There's actually going to be a process to this. My second step is to take the price of the item times my answer from the first part, or times the 0.04. So if I do that, that tells me how much the sales tax is. So first I got the sales tax into its percentage, like a decimal. Now next, I got the 0.96 for my tax. So my last step then is to take the price of the item plus the tax. And I'll know how much this is going to cost me. And I'm done. So it's going to be those same 3 steps every single time. I'm going to calculate the tax as a decimal, multiply it, and then add it to the original. Here, this. No, 96, $24.96. So let's take a look at number 5, and then I'll let you kind of play with 6 here. So, my sales tax, 2 places to the left, or you can just divide by 100. Either is fine. So that's 0.055. That's my tax in its decimal form. Then I'm going to take my item times that decimal. Whatever that is going to be what the tax is that I'd get charged. So $7.81 in this case. And my last step is to add that number to my original price. And I'll have my final answer. So turn the sales tax into a decimal, multiply it times the price to find the tax, and then add it to my value of my item, and that'll give me the final amount that it would cost me when I go to check out. And again, this is just a part of kind of keeping things straight a little bit. So we've done some increases and decreases, we've done some tax, and I believe when we flip over to the back here, now you're like, okay, now how's this work? Here's how this works. It's the same as sales tax. So same as what we just did on the last two problems. So it's the same as 4 through 6, but we're going to subtract the discount instead of adding it like we did tax. So for instance, on number 7, I'm still going to divide that discount percentage by 100 to get me a decimal. That's my first step. I'm still going to take how much the item costs times that decimal. That's my discount, $2.40. And then finally, take the price of the item minus the discount. And that'll let me know how much that's going to cost once I take my discount out. It might be an employee discount, maybe it's a coupon, whatever it happens to be. But the concept is going to work the same way. So now again, I'm just subtracting with a discount instead of adding like I do when I do sales tax. You subtract discounts. It's the opposite. Yep, it's just like the opposite of what we were doing with sales tax on the front. Okay, so again, let's just do one more of these, because then we're going to put both of them together, and then it's going to get real interesting here. Divide by 100, which is just moving the decimal place. So that's my decimal form of my discount. We have lots of 28s working here. Price of the ticket times the discount gets me how much I would save. Then my last step is to take the price of the item minus the discount. Those two tickets would only cost me $20.16 instead of $28. Not bad. So now, for the last group, it's like, oh crap. On the last group, we get to do both things. So again, the order that you do things is really critical on these. So here's how this one works. And if you're still working on one of the other ones, come with me on this, because I want to make sure we get the order right. I'm going to do my discount first. Still going to divide this by 100. Get 0.25. After I get done with my discount, I'll do my tax. But for right now, I'll still divide it by 100. We'll come back to this. So here's how this is going to roll. My first step, price of the TV minus my discount. That's a pretty nice chunk of change. So you're like, okay, so kind of working like what we did in the last one. It is. Because now I take the TV and I subtract the discount from it. $281. Okay, so this is the price that I would pay after the discount. Basically, we just did what we did up in 7 and 8. But there's one more piece this time. This time, we've got to add the sales tax in still. So my last step here is to take the price after my discount, the $281.25, times it by the sales tax, and here again. Okay, now, here's where we got to be careful. Because when you see this, it comes up 16.875. Well, we don't talk about money that way. Hi, your change is $16.87.5. No. Okay? We have to round it. So it's going to be $16.88 is the tax. You're like, dang, it's amazing what, a cash register can do when you start to see all this stuff going on. So the price plus the tax. And you can see how people, if they work at a store and don't understand this stuff, could be in a situation like I was explaining to you last week where I ended up getting something for free and I shouldn't have. Because there's lots of little things that go into this. And it can get kind of sizable depending on, what you're doing. So here, the last thing going on down here at the bottom, and I don't want you to skip the story problem, so I'm going to do one of these with you. Bump this up a little bit. Original price of a new sports video was $65. Due to the demand, the price was increased to $87.75. What was the percent of increase? So again, percent of increase. Subtract them. Now it could be any of the things. What was the price of the video originally? $65. So I'll subtract the numbers up top. Divide by the 65. But again, remember, when you get that decimal, you've still got to times it by 100. 35% increase in price. Holy cow. So that kind of is a nice explanation of what's going on as, and again, you're going to have some time tomorrow to work on some of this too. I'd assume this one's going to get done. But tomorrow, the little mini review we're doing for this quiz we're going to do is not going to be a full-blown 8 million question sheet here. We're just going to have a few of this and a few of that. So to kind of get you some practice, and I'm going to give you plenty of time tomorrow to finish this other one, but in case some of you get done early and want to see what's going on, let me just give a little preview of this other sheet. It's like what we were doing on Friday. This other sheet, this Pet Pal Parlor, the back's pretty self-explanatory, but this is a little trickier. So let me explain how this works. The prices on the menu that you see, these are all original prices. Because it's going to be asking you for percent of change. So when I'm doing all of these, I'm still going to be doing excellent, thank you. So the difference in prices now I see, thank you. I'm like, what the? So the difference in price divided by the original, and it's still times 100. So for instance, let's say I'm doing number 1. Meow Mastacholi. Okay? Meow Mastacholi now costs $5. Before, if I go to look it up, it used to cost $4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5 minus 4, because I got to subtract the other, and then divide by the original price, divide by the menu price, which is $4. So in this case, that would be 1 divided by 4, which is 0.25, times 100, 25%. I want to see either what fraction you get at the end, or I want to see this. I want to see one or the other. Because otherwise it's too easy to just copy answers. I understand. On some of these it is. So like for instance, if we're doing grilled cheese. So let's find that over here. Okay, grilled cheese used to be $3.60. Now it's $5.40. So I still subtract big minus small, but I'm still dividing by that menu price, by that original price. So I'll subtract those. So 180 over 360, which would be 0.5. But again, I know that's not the answer because I got times it by 100 still. Which is 50%. So on all of these on the front, that's how it works. It's always going to be bigger minus smaller on the price, comparing what you have here to what's on the menu. But you're always dividing by the menu price, because that's letting you see how much it's going up or down or whatever. And like I said, we're going to be doing some of this, including with that review tomorrow. But I'm expecting tomorrow you're going to be working on this some in class, okay? But you just want to get some practice at it. And then the back's just like what we've been doing. Percent of change. It's just like the front, except now they're giving you the numbers. And we'll talk some more about some of these tomorrow, too, when we do the review. So take your time here. You got about 20 minutes. Probably can knock out that first sheet and get that turned in even. And then maybe get a start here on the Pet Pal Parlor. On the front of this one? So here. Wait. So here. Right here. All right. So let's take a peek at 13. I'm in for this. So Emma bought a mobile home for $18,000. 2 years later, she sold it for $20,480. What's the percent of increase? Okay. So it's still big minus small. And she originally bought it, so that first number, for $18,000. So if I subtract those, well, okay, I'm like, I think I got this. So when I actually divide that out, again, I get a funky decimal. But don't funky decimal it right away. Whatever you get before you do anything else, times it by 100. And so you're like, okay, I got 13.77777777. But again, I don't need all those. I'm going to look here, and since that 7 is bigger than 5, I'm going to go to 13.8. Again, if you said 13.7, it's just the slightest little bit off. It's barely anything at all, so don't worry about that. That would be an increase because the price went up. So that's even how some of the story problems at the bottom back here are going to work. And it's just getting into a habit with these. And I think that's the biggest thing for all of you. Yeah, we've done 3 different things with the percentages. But at the same time, you should kind of get practice like, oh, that's what this one is. Okay. Oh, that's what this one is. Okay. And kind of make it a little bit easier. And I might even be willing to put up a hint or two on the quiz up on the board here on Wednesday. But we'll go over the review tomorrow and give you some more time to work on this one. Then we should be in good shape.